Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews. And today it is an honor and privilege to have drummer Adam Jarvis on the show. He has been with many bands, actually. Pig Destroyer, Misery Index, and Asthma Castle. And we talked to him about his drumming career, everything like that and whatnot. So, Adam, my man, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
Glad to have you on the show.
Good.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show, man. Talk about everything and anything that you got going on here. So I want to jump right into this with you. Go back to December because
Cool.
I saw this. I thought this was really cool, and some are getting away from this, which I wish that they wouldn't. I wish that they would do hands-on more with people and seminars. But you had an extreme metal drumming seminar on December 8th at Mid-Atlantic Drum Shop in Baltimore. So how was that? Did you get a lot of people out and teach some folks some good stuff? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was actually my first clinic.
Good.
It's been a long time coming, and I've known Keith for years, who has the shop, Mid-Atlantic Drums, and he actually makes his own drums here in Baltimore. But it's the kind of thing, like, you have to, like, custom order, or once he announces that he has something done, people, like, they don't even have to hear it. They're like, I'll take it. You know, he's got a reputation for making just amazing drums, especially snare drums. So, but yeah, we finally hammered down a date and got it done. So it was like right after I got off the tour with Napalm Death and Black Dahlia Murder. So I was kind of in, good fighting shape and ready to go. So it was perfect timing for me. And it was, I'd say, about like 30 to 40 people showed up.
That's pretty good.
For a clinic, and, he said that he's had, even bigger artists, and something about clinics and stuff like that. Like you were saying, it's unfortunate that, people don't pay mind to it, or something they think it might be like a boring, like sitting down, like, okay, here's how you do a paradiddle, It's like, but I tried to just go through everything from, just being on the road and touring and, staying in shape and endurance and exercises and writing in the studio, and just covered a lot of stuff. So it was really fun, man. Really fun.
Being on the road, and it's not all what it's cracked up to be.
No, and that's what a lot of people don't really talk about.
Yeah.
And it's, there's like, you get on the bigger tour packages, and say you're a younger band, never been out on a tour, and you might have finally got your shot, and then go out there, you don't want to pull like a bunch of amateur moves and, piss off the headliner, or, just being prepared and just ready, to go.
Yeah, they don't.
It's something that you can't just, really teach somebody. You got to kind of get your toes wet and, get out there and do it, but
yeah.
I've definitely played a few shows, probably going on 2,000. I don't even know. So, yeah, I could at least throw out a few pointers.
Yeah, they don't realize, where's your next meal going to come from, when you're going to be able to take a shower, just the little simple things that you miss. I've heard some horror stories with it. So, you put your time in, and hopefully eventually it pays off for everybody, and sometimes it does. So congrats for sticking in there so far, dude.
Yeah, it's been going on like 12 years now, so
yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy. It's not a full-time thing anymore. Used to be, that was like all we did. Misery Index would play like 200 shows a year.
Jeez.
Back from like 2004 to like 2009 or 10, something like that. So it makes it more enjoyable when it's spread out and doing cooler stuff, and you don't really get burnt out, and it's more of an event for you as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, so. Sure. Now, let's get into this. You are part of 4 bands so far, so I'm just going to throw these out here. If I miss one, go ahead and throw it in there. Pig Destroyer, Misery Index, and Asthma Castle. Who else are you part of, dude?
There's another project called Fulgora that's, I guess you could say we're all mostly St. Louis-based.
Yeah.
It's me, my cousin John, and my buddy Brandon Lemieux, and then actually Sparky Voiles, who played with I played with him in Misery Index. He was in Dying Fetus, and he's got a list of bands under his belt as well. But yeah, that's been around. I probably joined around like 2012, and we have just a couple 7 inches out, and then we have a EP that was released on Housecore, Phil and Selmo's label. So that's pretty much the only thing that we have out right now. We're actually working on new material. And Asthma Castle we just actually played our first show in almost 2 years this past weekend. And we got a new vocalist, and it's a game changer. It's like if you threw like Crowbar, Mastodon,
wow,
I Hate God, Clutch, and Neurosis in a blender.
Jeez.
That's what Asthma Castle would be.
Jesus.
So it's fun stuff. I'll send you a track, so maybe I don't know if you can throw in a song.
Yeah, I'll play it on the show. I don't care. I don't care a bit to help you guys out. Not, no problem at all. Is there anything right now that you guys are working on with any band that we can look forward to that's possibly coming out, new album, new EP, new anything right now, possibly?
Well, there's actually something I can't talk about right now.
Oh, silence.
But I'm leaving in the morning to go fly out to jam. And I guess the word will probably be out by the end of next weekend, but I'm just not supposed to say anything kind of deal.
Okay.
So, but it's very exciting and kind of surreal, and really looking forward to it. So yeah, sorry to be that guy right now, but there's that. Pig Destroyer has been working on a new album for a while, so we hope to record by the end of spring. We have there's about 8 songs in the works right now, and we've been jamming, like we jam every Sunday afternoon, like a real band. Most bands, like a lot of bands nowadays, just write everything and send it out and critique and maybe jam here and there, but it's crazy. We jam every Sunday, which is awesome. And then Misery Index is in the process of writing. We got about 2 songs that we're throwing around right now. Really going to start getting into that, hopefully after I finished the Pig Destroyer album, just so there's not millions of riffs and fills and blast beats and double bass going on in my head.
Right. Oh yeah. That's my next thing I was going to ask you, man. You know, with each band, and I know it's all part of feel and grooves and things like that, but do you ever just sit around and you're playing and say, God, this would fit perfect for Asthma Castle, or this may fit perfect for Misery Index? How do you stay fresh and, keep yourself pushing hard to come up with something new, man, all the time?
Well, I always got riffs in my head, and I do the same thing Bron Daler does, where he basically just hums the riff idea into, I'll sneak off every once in a while, and I could be out at a party, I could be at a show, or just sitting around the house, and all of a sudden someone just pop into my head, and I'm like, might as well go hum that, because if you got the melody, then once you listen back to it, you'd be like, oh yeah, I know what I was thinking. And so yeah, I'll because usually every Misery Index album I've written at least 5 to 6 riffs per album kind of thing. And I think I wrote the most on Traders. I think I had about 6 different riffs on that album or something. But yeah, as far as the other projects, Scott does all the writing for Pig Destroyer, so I don't really have to worry about that too much. But something we are going to do, which is pretty cool, is I'm just going to go into the studio one day, because where we practice is in Scott's basement, and that's the Pig Destroyer inner, the lair. We have a studio down there and everything, so
yeah.
I'm just going to go in one day and just rip through some drum ideas, and then Scott's going to write riffs to the drums. So that'll be really fun. Kind of a different approach,
How much growth musically have you seen your drumming go from where you started and to each band's album to album to album, if you can possibly notice?
Compared to when I first started jamming with Misery Index, I was only 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So I definitely, changed my style around a lot, and for the better. And touring makes you a beast, basically. You know, if you can go to your practice space or your basement where your drum kit's set up, you know, you just walk in and play, but you get on the road and hauling gear around and, you know, playing out live every night, you know, it really turns you into a machine, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's what really helped me progress. I think it was just all the touring, you know, and I practice, you know, given I have this thing coming up, I'm leaving for tomorrow. I've been playing drums upward of like 2 to 4 hours a day for the past 3 weeks. So yeah, that's my life. Go to work, get home from work, maybe eat something, and then just play drums till like 7 o'clock, and then come home and fall on my face.
But that's awesome though, dude. You're doing something that I wish I could do, and I can barely play Mary Had a Little Lamb on a guitar. So, you know, I mean,
well, hey man, you know that everybody knows that one, so you're doing all right.
Oh, dude. You ever saw the old man on YouTube who tries to teach himself how to play guitar, and he thinks he's getting it down, and he misses the one note, and he destroys the fucking guitar?
He just flips out.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
What do you hope, Adam, fans take away from the albums that you're part of? Once they start to listen to it and digest it, what do you hope that they get from it, man?
Well, the Killing Gods, I mean, some of the compliments that I got were just, you know, over the top. Like, people were just ecstatic about it and just freaking out by, you know, the drum production. And we tried to go for like a more of a natural drum sound. You know, it's not like a super processed trigger sounding album, which, you know, this day and age, it's like that's the go-to. That's the sound. It might turn some people away, actually. You know, they're like, oh, this actually sounds like a human playing. I don't want to listen to this, you know?
Yeah.
So that was one thing that, you know, I'm glad a lot of people realize that, like, wow, this is like, you know, when I listen to that record, it's like, that sounds like me playing, you know? So there's actually like some rim shots that we kept in there. There's like this one blast that I'm doing, and I hit the rim and I'm like, screw it. You know, I don't know if I can cuss.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was like, yeah, leave it in there. I don't even care. You know, it's like, makes it real, you know, and, you know, the time put into it, it's always appreciative when people, you know, sit down with a record and actually, I guess, feel something and, you know, see the evolution of your band, you know, and if you have the ear, you can hear it's like, yeah, that I'm sure that probably took a while to learn that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
what can fans expect at a show from you guys and in either band that you're part of when they come out to see you guys play live? What can they expect, Adam?
Intensity.
Good deal.
Yeah, just for Pig Destroyer, it's like, it's controlled chaos. You know, we get up there and it's just like, we're holding it together, but it's like we're all trying to sprint ahead, you know, and that's what I really like about it. It's like we're loose, but we're not, you know what I mean? It's like it's grindcore. So, you know, you're supposed to almost like falling off the edge at times, you know, but it's like, oh shit, you know, and then you're back in it, you know. Yeah. I love that kind of thing. And Misery Index is more controlled, I would say, more controlled and more structured songs, I guess, instead of being so sporadic like Pig Destroyer.
What is your favorite style, man, or do you have one? I mean, what fits Adam what fits Adam Jarvis? I mean, does it really matter?
I mean, as of lately, what I've been listening to, I've actually been on a really big Dimmu Borgir kick. Decibel just did the Hall of Fame for Death Cult Armageddon, and I was like, I remember when that album came out, and the album that came out before it, the Puritanical Misanthrope, whatever, I'm probably totally butchering that, came out in like 2001. That record like blew my mind when I first heard it. Like, the drum production is just over the top, and, you know, so I went back and listened to Death Cult, and man, that album rips. And the past week, I've just been listening to nothing but that. And I've actually been listening to a lot of, you know, I guess, I'd hate to say black metal, but it's, you know, like, say, there's this one band from Norway called Dodheimsgard. Yeah. That they're almost like a avant-garde black metal, which sounds kind of lame in a way, but that they're just, it's almost scary when you hear this guy's vocals. And it's been a long time since I heard a band that, you know, you like listen to it, you're like, holy shit, you know. Like, for instance, if you ever heard Today Is the Day, Temple of the Morning Star, there's pieces on that record that literally scare you, you know. And I just like everything intense, you know. Mm-hmm. I grew up listening to death metal. I bought Morbid Angel Covenant when I was like 10 years old. And since then, I've just always tried to find something heavier, brutal, faster. And I love the old school, 90s era death metal, Monstrosity, Malevolent Creation, Cannibal Corpse. I like it all, really. I'm actually listening to an ISIS record right now.
Do you like the digital era that we're in right now to get your music out faster and quicker? Or do you kind of prefer the old school way of 2-inch tape and things like that? What's your take on that, man?
I've never actually recorded to tape. Oh, okay. We've had albums mastered, or before they get mastered, run them to tape. But I do like that, like the old Morris sound recordings and, like I just said, like a lot of that mid-90s death metal and stuff,
right.
Sepultura, Scott Burns and his kind of mixes. And it's definitely something that I miss, That's why when I hear albums like, say, like the new Gorguts or something, where it's just like, it sounds like humans. It's like, it's refreshing, instead of just putting something on that is just like super polished and clean, and it almost kind of ruins it for me in a way.
Yeah, you can tell when an album has been electronically instruments and things on it. You can tell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially the drums. I mean,
yeah,
everything's quantized, and you can like literally quantize drums to the point to where like if they're off by like 3,000, I don't even know, like 3,000ths of a millisecond, you can snap it to the grid. It's like, really, you got to have a little bit of play in there. And that's one thing with the Killing Gods. I played it. It was like, I don't care if it takes me like 25 takes. Like, I'm playing it, I don't want to go back. I don't have to worry about editing. I don't like hear it and be like, yep, that's it. All right, let's go.
The only band that I could think of that has ever pulled off anything as far as electronically wise on an album is Fear Factory.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Man.
I mean, Fear Factory is badass. I mean, any way they go, they pulled it off. And
yeah, I mean, Demanufacture, that was one of my favorite albums growing up, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like it's the production, that does it. It's like, man, and even Obsolete, and the first album, Soul of a New Machine, is badass as well.
For you, I know you mentioned Morbid Angel a while ago about the album you bought and everything when you was a kid, but what was that spark for you, Adam? That's what I want to do. I want to be a drummer. I don't want to be a guitarist. Drummer is what I want to do.
Well, I started playing like a really young age because my father's a musician, and there was always a drum kit around the house. And, it doesn't even matter if you want to play music or not. When you're a little kid and there's a drum kit, you're going to just beat the crap out of that thing,
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
So, like my little nephew, or one of my nephews, Colin, he just got his first drum set. And, of course, even my little niece, Carly, she was, like, wanting to play it. And
sweet.
My other nephew, Caden, he's actually, like, he's a prodigy. He's going to be something else. He's already playing, like, he's down-picking Master of Puppets.
Shit.
Already. Like, that's one thing that, like, blew my mind is because I always heard people playing that growing up, and I'd always, like, we'd try to play, and I'd be like, man, something's just not right,
Yeah.
Because they weren't down-picking it. James Hetfield's, like, the master of down-picking. So him and Scott Ian, I guess it all goes back to just growing up in a musical family. And I grew up like hanging out with older people. Cause I have an older sister, and her boyfriend, Derek, like we'd always go hang out over at his house or whatever. And I remember one time we were going to a show, and they were like, oh yeah, put on some Sepultura. And I'm like, blah, 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 what? Like, you ever heard of Sepultura, man? And I'm like, no. And they put on Chaos Chaos AD.
Yes, sir.
And I was just like, game changer,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And like early Machine Head,
Yep.
you know, like Burn My Eyes. You said Fear Factory, Napalm Death, you know, it was what sparked I just always liked the heavy intensity, I guess, is what it was that sold me. So there's not too many bands that, like, especially death metal bands, that really hit me anymore, you know? So I guess I try to capture that in some Misery Index songs.
Any show or moment that stands out to you more than any that you can recall where you're going, I can't believe I'm actually on stage doing this right now?
Whew. Well, I'll tell you right now that there's a show coming up that I'm going to be feeling that.
That we can't talk about, probably.
But we can't talk about that, damn it.
That's good.
Maybe we should have waited till the 23rd, but
It's all good.
Well, I guess probably the most epic first show that you could ever play. I joined Misery Index 2004. Never even flew on an airplane. I grew up in Illinois, outside of St. Louis. Never even been on a plane. Traveled around, of course, but nothing extensive, like never been to Europe. So it's kind of a long story, but, you know, sending a VHS tape to Kevin Talley from Misery Index, and he was in Dying Fetus, got handpicked. He went on to join Chimera and basically kind of bailed on Misery Index, which was kind of a shitty move on him, but worked out for me, you know. Right,
yeah.
So I fly out to Baltimore, jam with them for like 4 days, and then fly to Europe and play Wacken open air in Germany, which is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Wacken, but that's like,
yeah.
That's like the, you know, it used to be the biggest festival in Europe as far as heavy metal, but now Hellfest might have that beat. But yeah, I have footage that I haven't watched probably since I recorded it, but I'll have to go back and dig through all that footage one day, or 1 year, because it'll probably take me forever. But I remember holding the camera and like filming the crowd before we went on, and there's like, you know, like 5,000 people in this beer tent that we played in, and I'm just like shaking, just like, holy shit, you know. At that point, maybe played in front of like 100 people, you know what I mean? So pretty surreal. And I mean, since then, you know, it's always all about the festivals over in Europe. You know, it's like you'll play on the same stage that, like, you know, anybody from Cannibal Corpse to like Slayer to, you know, then there'll be like a main stage where like Dio is going to play next. And, you know, of course, before he passed away, but,
yeah,
just shit like that, you know, where you're walking around and you hear Dio playing and you think it's just like playing over the PA speakers, but it's Dio. You're like, oh shit, Dio's playing.
yeah, shit, yeah. That sucks. He's gone so soon. I never would have dreamed it, but you know, things like that happens, unfortunately.
Yes, it's like I said, you know, growing up, just a fan of music. I've got to meet like a lot of those bands, tour with a lot of those bands. Like Misery Index did 2 tours in a year with Cannibal Corpse, and both tours we were on the tour bus with them. It came out one night, like I was like, man, I want to like fanboy out, you know, I'm gonna be like, I'm not worthy, you know, Wayne's World or something. But one night I just like had to just like thank Alex and Paul, and I was just like, man, like you don't even know, like the first time I heard The Bleeding, like that album changed my life, you know. And it's like, oh man, like, thank you, man. Like, they're just super humble guys, you know, and they've heard it, you know. How many people have, like, you know, you mentioned death metal, and most people just think Cannibal Corpse, you know what I mean? So
right. That's true. That's very true. I remember listening to Cannibal Corpse, God, when I was in high school. And
oh yeah.
So let's put the ball in your court here now. Since you paid homage to Cannibal Corpse on that tour, what's it mean to you when somebody says, hey, Adam, I play drums now because of you? Listen to your drum, you know, your drum playing inspired me to do this. What's that mean to you, man?
That's, I mean, every time I hear it, it's just like, it's mind blowing, you know, and
yeah,
like you'll meet people that are just like so like enthusiastic and just appreciative of what you do. And, you know, you could be in like some remote Eastern European city and think like, oh man, like you're pumped that people are going to be at the show, much less like just like coming to you and just be like, oh my God, like this, changed my life kind of thing, And probably one of the craziest things was we went over to Southeast Asia and did like 5 shows in Indonesia, and we rolled into one city and there was a billboard with Misery Index on it. I'm like,
that's awesome.
You've got to be freaking kidding me. Like, so we roll up and it's like, it was like a open air show, and I shit you not, like we're going on stage and there's like probably 150 people standing behind the stage just to watch me play drums.
Damn.
And like I'd get done playing and I'd turn around and they'd all just be like all eyes on me and just like start clapping and freaking out. And I'm like, holy crap, like this is insane,
Oh,
And then we had like, it was almost like we were Iron Maiden, it was like, we got off stage and like these people were trying to like climb over the fence and like shit that you would see like in a Metallica, DVD or something like that back in 80s or 90s. Like, whoa, this is crazy, man.
It is. I mean, the stories that I've read and even talking to people that's played overseas, especially like the Budokan, play over in Japan. And like I said, they play the Budokan. Indonesia, like you just said, it seems like they have, and I hate to say this, I'm not knocking us as Americans. I'm not saying that I'm not knocking us at all. But it seems like they have more of an appreciation of what they're watching and experiencing and listening to live. You know what I mean? It's like they're it's like they're in awe of it. It's like, whoa. It's like they get it for some reason.
Yeah, and it's like they're not spoiled, I guess, by, bands rolling through all the time, and so it's like it's seriously like an event.
Yeah.
Because that might be, for all I know, that could be the one time that Misery Index is ever going to play in Indonesia,
True.
We'd love to go back, and especially now, like they got that Hammer Sonic Festival, and that's supposed to be like huge. It's like when we played over there and we came back, we were all just like blown away at the scene over there. It was like people bootlegging shirts everywhere, and which I would always go up and be like, hey man, yeah, I'll take one of each of those, thank you. But which I have a stack of them in my closet. Pretty funny. But yeah, it was just like, you can go to Europe, and Europe almost is kind of spoiled now, even because the amount of tours that are going on over there in the summertime and all the time, really. It's almost just like the States, where you'll talk to a promoter and they're like, man, this is like my 5th show this week, and it's like, people don't have the money to go out to shows like that, I mean, you know how it is. It's like, what if there was like, 4 different shows you want to go to in 1 week? You might make it to 2.
At the most,
Yeah. You're going to make it to 1 for sure. Mm-hmm. But if you make it to that second one or the third one, you're crazy. It's just like, it's expensive, and, it's, people work, you got, daily life and stuff like that. So
I just like to say, as a fan of yours and what you've done with, Killing Index, Killing Gods, Misery Index, and plus, Pig Destroyer. Thanks, man. I really enjoy listening to you as a drummer and listen to your bands play, dude.
Wow. Definitely appreciate it, man. And, hopefully, should be a few records out for you this year to listen to.
I will definitely pick them up. I always do that. I always go out, and if I can't find a physical copy, I'll buy the digital copy. It's all the same.
I still buy music. I buy mostly vinyl, but if I go out to a show and I like a band, I'll go up to the merch table and I'll drop $40,
Yep. Or what's $5 to help a local band out for an EP or something? You know what I'm saying? It's just $5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How can folks stay in touch with you, my friend? Find out what you're doing, what you got planned on, and when this interview airs, it'll probably be after your big surprise. But how can they keep in touch and follow you, dude?
Well, yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I have a drummer page on Facebook that I need to get back on, but I don't even really go on Facebook anymore. But yeah, Instagram, or, you can always check the Misery Index Facebook, Instagram, Pig Destroyer. I almost said Piggery Index.
I'm rubbing off.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's all out there.
Yeah.
You know, Pig Destroyer is actually playing the Decibel Metal and Beer Festival in April, and we're actually going to be playing some new tunes. So the word's not even out on that yet, but I'll give you that since I can't tell you the other thing. Pig Destroyer will be playing new music at the upcoming show, so that is going to be pretty exciting.
Hey, before I let you go, good sir, will you care to do a promo for the show?
What's up? This is Adam Jarvis from Misery Index. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, cheers, man.